What is up, everybody? It's Rob, and I'm coming at you with another YouTube video. And today we're going to be going over how to find the top stocks to buy for our long-term portfolio. Now, you're probably wondering, Rob, what are you looking at? Well, right now I have on the screen Thinkorswim, right? This is the software I use for my trading, but also for our long-term portfolio. The brokerage is called Charles Schwab, and they have a really great platform called Thinkorswim, okay? Now, I'm going to be getting into exactly how I find top stocks on this platform, but right now, right, I'm going to give out the secret, okay? And I'm going to throw it on the screen right now, okay? Boom! Here it is. It's a website called Slick Charts, okay? It's called slickcharts.com, and this is how I actually find a lot of the stocks that I end up buying for the long-term portfolio. And whenever I make a purchase, right, at the same exact time I place the trade, right, I get in and I post the buy on my social medias. So follow me on my X, my Instagram, right, my YouTube here. Put on your notifications so you don't miss anything, right? When anything happens, I'm posting it. So make sure you're tuned in, you're locked in, right? You're following everything so you do not miss everything. But Slick Charts, you're probably wondering, well, what the heck is this website? How is this going to find me the top stocks to buy, right, for the long-term portfolio? So what this website does, right, it is a screener website, right? It pulls together a lot of data and allows you to see everything very simply. So what I like to do, right, is use these three tabs, right, when I'm trying to buy stocks for a long-term portfolio: the S&P 500, NASDAQ 100, and the Dow Jones. So for example, I'll click on the S&P 500 and I go to component performance. Now, this is going to break down the S&P 500 year-to-date returns, okay? So year-to-date, right, you take today's date and you go a year back. So it's not going to break all the returns down, you know, for say maybe 5 years or whatever, right? I am going to be going over that later in this video, so stay tuned. But this shows you year-to-date, which is helpful to see, you know, short-term performance, right, on these stocks in the S&P 500. So right now, you can see, right, the top one is SanDisk, year-to-date returns. And if you scroll all the way down, okay, scrolling, keep going, S&P 500, a lot of names here, you can actually see the worst performers. Now, this is where you want to start, right? The long-term portfolio, like I said, watch my other video, right? We have a video on the YouTube, right? How to start the long-term portfolio. This video, I'm going over how I find the exact stocks. But you want to start at the bottom because we buy stocks, right, that are ideally at 5-year lows, okay? They're hidden lows. We don't like to buy hype stocks that are overvalued, that are at all-time highs, okay? We like to buy stocks that are beaten up, that are at lows, that the market is discounting. There's an inefficiency in the market. So this site here, slickcharts.com, right? This is a great place to start, okay? And you want to scroll all the way down to the bottom and go up. Like, look at some of these names you can see. Coinbase, right, down 29% year to date. And then what you can do, okay, is go back into the trading software and pull up a chart. So for example, right, we can pull up Coinbase here on the top right. Pull out the chart. Let's go max quarterly so we can look at the stock. So you can see, right, Coinbase is having a huge sell-off. Now, this is tied to Bitcoin's recent sell-off, right? But nonetheless, okay, this website is helping us find, you know, some of the top companies, right, S&P 500 companies that are at lows. And we can start there. So you can start seeing, like, right here, we can look at a 3-year weekly chart. So, right, Coinbase right now, right, close to $162, and a lot of times I like to see, okay, well, how far back, right, when was, like, how far back can we go to see when it was at that price? So we can look here, right, like around December 11th back here. So Coinbase is hitting lows, you can see. Not that I'm, you know, saying I'm going to go out in the market and buy it tomorrow, but what I am saying is, right, I like to look at all of these names on this chart here. And we just added Humana, okay, to our long-term portfolio just recently. It was one of the last long-term pickups. And, right, one of the ways, you know, I find long-term stocks is with this website. And it's a combination of this website, other screeners I'm going to get into, but also I do just follow the market every day, so I'm on top of a bunch of names. But if you're not, or even if you are, this is a great place to, go check, right? See what's down. Look, Robinhood, okay? All of these names that you might be familiar with. So see what's down, and it's not necessarily just because it's based on the year to date. I do have other criteria, right? Like what is the news that's causing the stock to go down? If it's like a 5-year low, but this is where I like to start, okay? And all right, you scroll through this list and you can pick up names and see what's down, okay? What I'm not going to do is scroll up to the top and go, oh my God, this company is up 127% year to date. This is the one I'm going to buy. No, we try to do the exact opposite. So you can do it for the S&P 500 and also the NASDAQ. Now this is heavily concentrated in technology and like software, but same thing, look, scroll down, right? You can see Intuit, look, PayPal, right? I'm just going to make this easier and I'm going to pull up it here so I don't have to switch my screen to the trading platform. But like, look, PayPal stock, okay? Let's pull it out. 5 years, down 86%, okay? If you pull a max chart, they're up 19% in the whole time since the stock started to trade. So as you can see here, right, this is a beautiful software just to see, or basically you can call this a screener, this website, Slick Charts, to start looking at stocks and go through them, right? See names that you're aware of or whatever, what you like, and this is very helpful to get a quick glimpse of what's down. Look at this, Netflix, right, is beat up. So scroll through here. That is the website I recommend, right? Once again, you can click on the component performance, NASDAQ and Dow. And also, I mean, this chart is just great. It has some other useful data. For example, you can see like Berkshire Hathaway, their company, what are they holding, right, in their public holdings. And Berkshire Hathaway does own some private companies, but stocks that trade on the market, what are they holding? And you can kind of get a glimpse. Let's see what Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's doing out here, right? Look, Apple makes up 23% of their portfolios. You can kind of see what they're owning, right? Get a view in there, but also the component performance of these, most popular indexes. See what's beat up on the year. Start there. Now, I'm probably sounding like a dead horse here, so let's get on to the next topic, okay? Like I'm telling you, this is a screener. Now, there's another website I like to use called FinViz. FinViz.com is another great screener. All right, this is a great website just to see what's going on in the market during the day. They have a heat chart over here so you can see, right, the biggest gainers and losers. But the main thing here, right, go to this screener tab, okay? Now, this is going to allow you to select different criteria, okay? And then you're going to get a list. So what I like to do is go into this fundamental tab right here. And then what you'll be able to see, or actually it's technical, my bad. So go to this technical tab, and where it says 52 high, weak or low, you want to hit new low. So this is going to show you all the stocks, right, hitting a 52-week low. Now you're going to have a lot of names, so we're going to have to sort this out. So then what I like to do is go to descriptive, okay, and go to market cap, because we want to, sort out all the junk, like these companies that are only 3 million here, 28 million, okay? So what I like to do, all right, is go to the bigger companies. Let's see if we can get anything, all right? Oh, no 200 billion companies hitting a 52-week low. Okay, let's see, 10 billion to 200 billion. Okay, now we're actually seeing names. And look again, look, Humana is coming up on this list. Just like I was showing you guys on Slick Charts, the S&P 500, component performance. We scroll down, right? You will see Humana down here, one of the worst performers in the S&P 500. And also, right, just recently hitting a 52-week low. And then you can, filter here, mid companies, whatever, right? But start looking at the names and doing research on them and see what you use, what you know. And this is going to help you narrow down, right, in this huge market we have of all these names, right? Stocks that are beaten up, that are hitting lows. Everybody knows the saying, right? Buy low, sell high. We don't buy hype. We don't buy the tops, right? We like to find value, and FinViz is a great screener to do that. Slick Charts is great. And also, I do have a secret here as well. The website is called StockTwits. Now, I usually use this on mobile. It's a lot better. This is kind of like a form page board type of site where people can for example, right, you could click on Hood and all the users make comments, kind of what's going on. So for example, this person right now says Vaseline time about Hood. I did not want to click on that because I knew someone was going to say something crazy, but I wanted to show you guys an example. Oh my God. But anyway, so StockTwits is great, okay, because once this loads back to the home screen, they have an algorithm, right, that tracks the market based on users posting on the board. So when people write about stuff, they put the ticker symbol in and they'll make a comment. So the algorithm tracks, what is, the top movers on the day based on movement. So what I like to do is see what's trending and click this equities here, okay? And then you can kind of get a sense of, what is it? I usually use this on, let me see if I can break this out. Yeah, here we go. So click this little button here. I always use this on mobile. I'm never really on the browser of this website. But look, you can click this trend in here, click equities, and you can see what is trending. Now this is helpful, right? Because look, Hood, right now everyone's talking about Hood, and it's showing you, look, it had a big move down. Now Hood just had their earnings report. That's why it's trending. That's why it's down 9%. But why I bring this up for the long-term portfolio is because you can see top losers, okay? You can see what has taken big moves down for the day. For example, Lyft, okay, down 16%, just had their earnings report. So you can use this software as another way, right, to see what stocks are hitting lows, right, even on the day, very quickly to track all that, okay? So this is going to help you, again, to find stocks that are beat up, potential, candidates for the long-term portfolio, okay? Just because a stock is at a low does not necessarily mean it's a good long-term investment, okay? There's a reason why the stock is at a low. It's not just magic, right? It's not at the low just because. There's usually a reason. But you have to, do your research and find out what are good opportunities, okay? Maybe the market is overreacting, right, over news, and there's potential for a rebound. So that's why we start here and look at these names. And that is StockTwits. So once again, I usually use the mobile platform, but if you pull it up, go to the homepage, and you can click this little button up here. It shows you what's trending. Make sure you filter on equities. That is stocks. And you can go to like trending, most active, right, top losers, whatever, and just start using it as another great screener. And once again, how these names get populated, it's based on the demand or traffic that certain stocks are getting based on, comments from the users on this website. So it's highly well known. It's a great tool. You can see up here the sliders going. It's showing you what stocks are moving pretty big. So another quick way to see what is going on in the market. Now, the last thing I do have for you here, a tool, right? I was talking about Thinkorswim, right? This is where we have our long-term portfolio. And one of the things I want you guys to do is create a watch list, okay? And what you can do is create a watch list, okay? And put in names. So I have a watch list called Things I Use. And I pulled up all the companies. These are public companies of things I use. And you put in the ticker symbol of the stock, okay? So I want you to, like, literally where you are right now, look around, okay, and see what's right in front of you. And I want you to put that name there. Look, right now I'm looking at my iPhone, okay? So I should have Apple in here, right? I do. Okay, I'm using a laptop that's Windows. So Microsoft should be in here, right? Yep, right at the top here. So start looking around at what you actually use and put it in here and start following the names, right? Like once a day you can go in the market, see how the stock opened, maybe see how it closed, and just follow these names. And eventually, right, maybe when the market starts getting crazy and selling off, getting, emotional, right, follow the names of things you use, okay, and start following them and see if they're hitting lows, and maybe they present a good opportunity to add them to the long-term portfolio. So this is another great strategy I recommend for you to start. For example, like I have Microsoft, Meta, everyone uses Instagram, Amazon, you're ordering stuff, Airbnb for travel, and so on, right? Everyone's got credit cards, American Express, Netflix, Walmart, the list goes on and on. But sit down, right, and see what's right in front of you, start making your watches, and think about the things you use, right? I don't use it. I go to Texas Roadhouse a lot. I love the restaurant. I love the food. So I have it here in the things I use watch list. So I can log on here, right? You can basically you can send these stocks to charts or whatever, put in the ticker symbol. But for example, I just sent it to this chart. So let's look at Texas Roadhouse, okay? So I can pull out a chart for 3 years. Now I'm looking at Texas Roadhouse. It's a stock I use, but look, I mean, it's hidden highs. It's pretty high up there. So I'm not necessarily going to want to, have this as a high candidate on my long-term portfolio because the stock is beat up, okay? But like Humana that we just recently purchased, okay? Look at this stock, okay? Getting absolutely torched, okay? Big, huge sell-off. The market's getting really emotional. Volatility's been increasing, right? I mean, you can pull this chart out for 3 years and you're still not even being able to see like any last prices. 5 years. So you're getting the stock more than a 5-year low. So that's the type of stuff I'm talking about and what I recommend, or my opinion, what I use. Okay, watch list, pull up Slick Charts. Okay, this is another great one. You can see the component performance. You scroll on the bottom, you see the names. Also look at FinViz, right? Go to the technical here. Look at 52-week lows. You can literally see what stocks are hitting 52-week lows on the day. Go to descriptive, change the market cap so you're looking at bigger companies, stuff that isn't like penny stocks or whatever. And then also stock twits, right? This is very helpful another way. It's like a little algorithmic trending data aggregator to show you what are the big movers. So guys, those are the tools that I use to actually find stocks for the long-term portfolio. And right, I have a whole nother video on how to set it up, so I don't want to talk too much about it in the video. But once again, start thinking about things you use on a daily basis, companies you understand, right? Don't go out there and buy hype or stocks that are hitting all-time highs, because 9 times out of 10 they're going to come down, right? You're going to get wrecked. I mean, I can pull up all the charts from stocks of last year that everybody was getting hyped over. HIMS here. I mean, look, everybody, right, went all the way up to 72, sold back off to 23, ran all the way back up. I mean, you just don't want to buy certain companies at highs. You'll get wrecked. I mean, there's so many names you can do this on. So, I mean, buy quality names, okay? That's why I like using the Slick Charts and go into literally the indexes everybody knows, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, looking at the component performance, scrolling down and looking at what's sold off. So guys, that's how I find the top stocks to buy for our long-term portfolio. I hope you enjoyed it, got some value. I know this is what I use, so I'm sharing all the secrets on how I get everything. So I know you guys got some value out of this video. So like the video, subscribe, comment what names you guys are looking at. If you start using, any of these things that I showed you, let me know what you think. So guys, I got some more videos coming for you. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and peace out.